Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to game number 4 of our semi-final matchup between these two gentlemen that you see on your screen right now. Look at those records, by the way. Look at that record versus Zerg. In case you missed it, it was 21-10 is the recent record for NaDa versus Zerg. A TVZ killer. Not to be confused with Killer, who's a Zerg player, later on after this time period. But GoRush is up 2-1. And in, the last, they've played this series, and they've played a best of 7 and a best of 5 in the last, 2 months previous to this series. Actually, kind of like a month and a half, 5 or 6 weeks only. And GoRush has gotten the better of NaDa in more of those games. So even though the stats showed that GoRush's ZVT was not as good as NaDa's TVZ, GoRush seems to have his number. And so we'll see though. NaDa is still up against the ropes. He's still down 2-1 in this series, but he's fighting back. He's been backed into a corner, and he is playing the part of a wounded animal and fighting back with vigor. And he's taken the last game on a crazy 45-minute game on Dream of Ballet with just basically just double whack-a-mole going on. Both players killing each other's bases left and right. This game is going to be on the map Alchemist. So we're going to see some interesting play here. This is, of course, our map that has the 3 spawn points. And there's different terrain in between the different spawn points. So the terrain that we have for this one is NaDa is, of course, the white Terran player at the bottom of the map. The purple Zerg at the right side of the map is going to be our GoRush. And I was going to say our hero, but, depending on who you're rooting for. I kind of consider him the hero because he's been winning so much. And, it kind of feels like maybe his time. Having just won the MSL, if he could win the OSL as well, it would be a really awesome situation for him to be able to really secure his stamp on the year 2005. Not a bit of an underdog here, even though he did win a best of 5 against GoRush previously. He still feels kind of like an underdog here in this situation, especially given the context of losing the previous MSL to Uv. And excuse me, and losing again to UV in the OSL quarterfinals of the previous OSL. And I feel like NaDa has a lot to fight for here. So, in any case, talk about the map real quick, so you can kind of see it. We've kind of seen a little bit of it here and there. Is that a factory? That is a factory. Very quick factory from NaDa. Could be vultures, could be quick starport play. And the drone scout is going to get in there. So we can see both players scouted each other's, second or last, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. And are going to see what's going on, but a little bit later, basically. And so between the two players right now, you have basically a ramp down from either player into a natural, and then bridges over into a middle area, and then bridges into the next player's area. So there's kind of like a natural, and then bridges. And of course there's the long way around the map that you can see traced by the vision etched out by the scouting units around the top and the side. That show that you can go the long way around as well. So there's kind of 2 sides that you have to defend from by ground. So the bridges are really easy to hold, and you see that creep colony going down right in a perfect spot where it's going to hit things that are coming across that bridge. So it's going to be very effective. I think it's going to be barely up in time before this vulture arrives, if it does in fact go that direction. No, he's not. He's not running it that way. He's actually going to run it the other way around. He's going to take his first vulture and run it the long way around the map. Very interesting. It looks like NaDa is also setting up to set up his second command center behind his main as well. So GoRush, it's very interesting actually setting up his extra base towards NaDa's base, which I wouldn't have expected, although he may have had to guess. I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but he may have not scouted NaDa's base yet. He may have had to guess which direction to go. His vulture is going to go all the way around, so he's going to avoid that sunken colony, but there could be Hydralisks out as well by the time that vulture gets into the base. Hydralisk Den is completed, but this is a lurker build, very clearly. The SCV did scout the Hydralisk Den, though, so he's going to be aware that this is a lurker build. But you could still, the perfect timing with the Hydralisk Den completing and then the lair completing shortly thereafterwards with the perfect timing so they can get the lurkers out as quickly as possible. And Spire going down as well, though. But in a nice sneaky spot that is going to be hard for NaDa to notice that, because he isn't going into that natural expansion with his vultures. He's tried to go around behind the main, where we saw the Zerglings and Hydralisks force that back. Second gas going down as well. So this is really interesting. Looks like GoRush is looking to set up third base in addition to that. Now, is this not a lurker build? Am I just maybe it's an adaptation of a lurker build? It looked like the timing was perfect for it to be lurkers, but it could be that the Hydras are just a quick response to the vultures, and he didn't want to get overrun by vultures potentially, when in fact it looks like there's only 1 or 2 vultures created. He's getting mines though, which is interesting. Oh, and now nice. Look at those mines doing work. He's going to try and bait these Zerglings into mines as well. Although, that's not too much of a loss there, at least. Those 2 Hydras dying, though, that's kind of a big deal. He was kind of trying to reach around the side of the map, do some harassment, trying to pick off. I don't know. He may not have expected there to be spider mines. And it looks like he's not. He may be making tanks eventually, but it looks like he's not. He only made that machine shop just so he can make mines, to kind of maintain some control of the map, which is clever as well. It's a good thing against lurkers as well, actually. So that's something to keep in mind. But it looks like we're not seeing lurkers. It looks like he showed the den. The den was either a fake, and then he has switched into Mutalisks, or he just made the den so he could have Hydras against the vultures, and the real plan the whole time was to go for the Spire tech. He has, of course, made the Spire. The Mutalisks are out on the map. NaDa is on top of the defenses. He's made a number of turrets at his natural, and he's got turrets and Medic Marines in his main as well. These turrets are going to, Mutas rather, are going to go in here and spot those turrets. A little bit sloppy, running in there. Maybe wasn't expecting there to be that many turrets in those locations. Excuse me. But he does get some unnecessary damage, and now he finds there's turrets in the main as well. Takes some more damage on another Mutalisk. So, yeah, this is not. These Mutalisks are not accomplishing much at all. Well, they're not accomplishing anything directly. Of course, they are accomplishing map control. They're accomplishing a threat that he says you have to stay back with your Medic Marine Force to deal with these Mutalisks. Otherwise, ooh, he's going to fly behind here. Oh, he doesn't get any free hits there. He's just going to fly straight out. A little bit of surprise there, actually. He could have taken 2 or 3 SCVs along with flying around the bottom of the map there. So maybe a missed opportunity there, but again, you know, he's doing this to buy himself time. While these mutas were posing a threat, he's gotten his 3rd base up, and now he's getting a 4th base up. And you know, that's how Zerg players win on well, in general, I guess. But that's a good way to do it, is if you can keep your opponent in their base while you get 4 bases running. The Zerg player is just going to win, basically. I mean, if they only have 2, if the Terran only has 2 bases, you know, it's not too difficult for NaDa to take a 3rd though. So we may just see a longer macro game, but it comes down to if he can manage that containment or not. I like how he's kind of flying his Mutalisks out in a spread formation instead of in a clump. That may have been intentional because he knows that science vessels are going to be out pretty soon. Of course, there's not probably any science vessels up in the northern part of the map, but in any case, he is doing a good job of kind of clamping down on this map control that these vultures are having. He's killing off the vultures. Ooh, the vulture does spot this expansion base though, so now that base is a target. That base in the top left hand of the map is a place that you could go to get slightly overpriced household goods, because it's a Target. Sorry, it's an American joke. For you, I don't think they have Targets. A Target is a store in America. I don't think you have Targets in anyway. Moving on. Point being, NaDa knows that that is a burgeoning base, and it's going to be an easy pickings for some attacks. It is, and you can see actually he's running his entire Medic Marine force that direction. There are lurkers in play. This Overlord's going to spot the threat. NaDa has to worry about these lurkers though, but he's got a lot of room to maneuver, and if NaDa has room to maneuver, we have seen what he can do with Medic Marines. He's going to stim in here, and he's actually not even going to try and maneuver. He's going to go straight for that sunken colony. Where are the lurkers? A little bit slow to pick up. They're going to sit back down again and burrow underneath, but again, NaDa can just push farther into the base. He's taking out all the drones. He's taking out the sunken. He's going to take out the hatchery. Very quick kill for that Medic Marine force. And, oh, it looks like, though, GoRush says, all right, well, if your entire force is in the top left, I'm going to counterattack, baby. I can put 2 lurkers on the ramp on the right side and block you from counterattacking my right side bases. In the meantime, I can dive down onto your main with my Mutalisks and do some damage. Lots of lurkers popping out there. Greater Spire being morphed as well. Look at that. NaDa actually did scan and take out those lurkers on the top of the ramp. But if he had him in a better spot, maybe at the bottom of the ramp where it was a funnel position, it would be very difficult for NaDa to do so. So I would expect him to put some lurkers maybe on his kind of 1 o'clock position base. He could put him in a better spot there and still protect. And look at this Sacrificial Ling running in, taking out the mines. GoRush is setting up for a counterattack here. Or maybe just counter pressure, actually. He's insinuating, I guess the time has passed for an attack, maybe. Well, never mind, because looks like he's positioning over here. This one Hydralisk is going to, oh, he's not going to soak up that mine. He's going to kill the mine. In any case, NaDa's looking to take a third base. We saw the command center building earlier. I didn't see exactly where that was, but he's probably planning on taking that base right there. And that is the bridge. Look at that. NaDa cannot take that bridge. He cannot. He's got science vessels, but doesn't have tanks. With a tank, he could take the bridge slowly. But right now, he cannot take that bridge. It's just so hard to move units across that bridge with the lurkers blocking it in that spot and the backup lurkers. It's just going to be impossible for NaDa to cross that. So, oh, here we go with the Irradiate. He does get 2 Irradiates down. Nicely done. And he actually pulls 1 Irradiate out, but he doesn't pull the other out, so a lot of damage done to those Mutalisks. We didn't get to follow the view of those Mutas, but it looked like a significant amount of damage was done with those 2 Irradiates, of course killing 2 Mutalisks as well outright. Very fast hive tech for GoRush. This time, he's gone straight for the Defilers. And the Guardians, by the way. But getting those early Defilers, that's something that I feel was a little bit of a, I don't want to say mistake, but it could have been more of an advantage for him in the last game. You know, if he got Defilers earlier, it could have definitely turned a couple battles in his favor. You know, he was sticking with the Hydralisk though, so that was a little different story. But it's just so weird to see the Mutalisks not clumping though. It's just, remember, this is, you know, I've said this over and over again, but just in case you're just tuning in for this game, you know, this was pre-Mutalisk clumping, which I believe was kind of invented sometime in 2005. So at some point during this year, this calendar year of 2005, we're going to see them shift over into it. But there's the Defiler. And, you know, Defilers with lurkers and choke points can hold almost indefinitely. Even against a couple tanks, they're going to be fine. Science Vessels, not quite as much, actually, in that sense. So it's kind of an interesting that he already has the vessels out. But, you know, it's always a fight to build Defilers. The vessels are trying to irradiate the Defilers. And look at this. He's actually brute forcing his way up this ramp into this small squad of medics and marines. And NaDa, you can see on the left side, is pushing his entire force up this way. He is kind of recognizing the fact that he needs to stop this flow of units. Otherwise, he's going to have his back flank wide open, and he's moving more forces in here. This small squad is actually doing a good job of delaying while he moves his main force up here. Now the main force is rejoined, but there is a Dark Swarm on the choke point. NaDa's going to have to be forced to fall back through that choke. some units taking damage in the process. He does have plenty of vessels, though. He can start irradiating the important units. He's raiding lurkers. One of the defilers is now being irradiated as well. But those swarms are going to last for a little while. It looks like he's actually killed all of the defilers in this setup. More are probably on the way, but for the moment, he cannot push any farther downward from this position because he won't be able to cast more swarms. I guess he just have a bunch of stuff, so he can still theoretically move farther downward in that sense. And he is just going to just barely still move into the edge of that swarm, which just now goes away. There's a lot of overlords there. What is that? What's going on with those overlords, actually? I wonder. Is that, I mean, it might be for mines? I wonder if he was going to do some kind of a drop or something like that, but it's only 4 overlords, so maybe not. Maybe it's supposed to be for mines or cloak wraiths, I guess. NaDa, you never know what NaDa's going to do. But that Greater Spire is still in play, and I guess those overlords were just coming up here to die, which is a valid strategy, depending on how you look at it. There's more lurkers up here, though. He can't quite push into this. So GoRush is trying to take this top left base. And now he's deciding he needs to put all of his efforts into holding it. NaDa has, look at that. Look at his backup force. That's a lot of lurkers, though. So many lurkers and the Hydras to boot. The Hydras standing on top of the lurkers, making sure the Marines can't quite attack them directly, meaning the lurkers can do significant damage to the Marine force. The Hydralisks are there doing damage as well. It's so interesting to see this strategy, though, with the, look at those medic squad just chilling there, healing each other while they die together. But it's so interesting to see this Hydra Lurker combination. It's not something you would see at all. I don't think I remember seeing a Hydra Lurker against Bio ever in like 2008 or 9 or 10 or I mean 2020 and 2021 are the time when all old things are new again, and we've been seeing things like old strategies like Valkyries and crazy stuff. So maybe we've seen some Hydra Lurk in recent days that I'm not aware of, but it's definitely obviously much more common back here in these old days, early 2000s. NaDa has a lot of stuff. He is macroing extremely well, and he's been able to use that to take control of 4 bases now. So NaDa is looking very strong in this game, and he's got mines to protect himself in different spots. It's curious that GoRush hasn't tried to push on the right side of the map at all, especially if he had air units. I mean, I don't know what happened to those Mutalisks. Maybe they died at some point. But, oh, there's the Hydra's tracking down a couple of science vessels. He has a lot of vessels. There's so many science vessels. It looks like he's got 8 or maybe even 10 vessels there. But what is that Greater Spire doing? I'm just really curious about what's going on with the Greater Spire. He may have just abandoned that because he saw the massive science vessel count, and he knows that, you know, if he spends a ton of money, it is so much money to make, you know, let's say 6 Guardians, right? 6 Guardians can be very effective in some map situations, especially with a bridge. You know, you have the Guardians attack from the bridge, you put some lurkers on the bridge, you have a defiler behind it, just absolutely ridiculous amount of power there. But if they've got 10 vessels, they just irradiate all your Guardians, and all they spent was energy, and they killed thousands of minerals and gas in exchange. So that may be why he's not really utilizing it. I'd be curious to see if he utilized, maybe make some Devourers to deal with these vessels a little bit. I don't know. I guess he doesn't need to because he has Hydralisks. What is irradiated there? Is that an egg? Is that like a lurker egg that's been irradiated underneath that swarm there? And actually, NaDa has decided to push across the bridges on the south there. Across one set of bridges. There's still a second set of bridges. And so this would actually be a good spot for Guardians if you could camp them as a defensive thing. Again, the vessels would kill them pretty quickly, but you know, theoretically, it would be nice to have Guardians blocking that bridge. And oh, he needs to swarm. Well, there's actually nothing to swarm. He puts down the Dark Swarm, and there's 2 Zerglings. 2 Zerglings underneath that Dark Swarm. It's not enough. And he's going to just charge across this bridge. And this is pretty catastrophic for GoRush here. GoRush actually, oh, look at that. He's going to try and land a new base, but there's already hatchery in play there. GoRush is just going to lose this base. He saw this coming, and he did not send his reinforcements enough in time. Now, of course, he does have reinforcements there. You can see there's some lurkers underneath those swarms, and they're going to be able to do a bit of counterplay, but it's too late. The drones are dead. the base is dead. The Greater Spire is probably dead at this point. We haven't seen it in view for a moment here, but I'm pretty sure it's probably gone at this point. I wonder if he actually morphed some Guardians in the back just before the Greater Spire went down. Oh, a nice Plague on so many vessels! Oh my gosh, he just plagued like 8 vessels. That one Hydralist, just march over to the left. Do it, Hydra! Just go kill like 8 vessels by yourself, you'll be a hero. Okay, those Marines are screwed now. Stuck between a Lurker and a Ling place. And, yeah, they got killed off. Out of the Lurker pan and into the Ling fire they went. GoRush has a lot of bases now, by the way. It looks like he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. Now, whether or not they're all mining is another story, and whether or not NaDa is about to kill one of them at the 9 o'clock position is another story indeed. Look at this. NaDa is now pushing out with so much stuff. There's so many vessels. He's got basically infinite irradiates at this point. He's irradiating Overlords just because he can. GoRush looking a little bit grim in that spot, and he should be feeling it. There's some Lings over here to protect, but it's not going to be enough. The Ultralisk Cavern is up. Gonna have to try and check on the upgrades here if we can. It's hard to see the pixels on this. Look at this. He's irradiating Overlords. He's just running his vessels in, irradiating the Overlords there. Now, a single Mutalisk actually would be a good idea. NaDa, though, is pushing directly into GoRush's main base. If he loses all of his tech, then it is definitely going to be over. NaDa pushing the top left at the same time. The Mutalisks are coming in. They are going to die. I don't even know what those Mutalisks are doing. This game is over, ladies and gentlemen. GoRush has nothing to defend this. The Ultralists pop out, though. Maybe the Ultras are enough. If they have the higher Carapace, they're going to work. They're killing off these Marines very quickly, but there's too many Marines. The Ultralists do go down, and so does GoRush. Ladies and gentlemen, NaDa has brought it back from a 0-2 deficit to a 2-2 tie. He has tied up this series and brought himself now within 1 game of victory. He has the momentum. GoRush had the momentum 2 games in a row. It looked like he was on fire. It looked like he was unstoppable. After the 4-2 victory in the finals, it looked like he had NaDa's number and could defeat him very easily, but now NaDa has brought it back. It's going to go to a game number 5. All of the marbles, ladies and gentlemen, every single marble is going to be on the line for that semifinal, for the semifinal at least, for this last game that we have got coming up. Game number 5 is going to determine who is going to advance to the finals and who is going to have a shot at securing their legacy or furthering their legacy, I would say, in NaDa's case. Very, very intense game there. Can NaDa do it, or can GoRush clinch the game 5 and secure the victory that looked like it was well within his grasp in the first place? We will find out in the next game. Thank you very much for watching. GG.